Introduction. Is impossible just a word? What if impossible was never a solid truth, but only a word we quietly accepted as reality? Most of the time, when we call something impossible, we are not describing the thing itself, we are describing our fear, our doubt, or the limits of our current thinking. History is full of examples that prove this. Every major breakthrough we now take for granted once lived in the territory of can't be done. Flying across oceans, speaking to someone on the other side of the planet in real time, curing certain diseases, starting life over after failure, building global companies from a bedroom. All of these were once considered out of reach, unrealistic, or even crazy. Yet someone, somewhere, dared to challenge the idea of impossible. They asked, what if this could work? And then moved from questioning to trying, from trying to refining, and from refining to achieving. The difference between those who create the extraordinary and those who settle for the ordinary is rarely pure talent or perfect circumstances. More often, it is the courage to question limits that most people accept without thinking. This book is about that courage. It is about learning to see impossible not as a final verdict, but as a starting point. When you hear the word impossible, it can either shut you down or wake you up. It can be a wall or it can be a challenge. You are about to explore how to choose the second option. In the chapters that follow, we will walk through the inner and outer journey of turning the so-called impossible into something real and achievable. We'll talk about mindset, the invisible frame through which you see yourself, your abilities, and the world. We'll explore how your beliefs quietly build your reality day after day. We'll look at big dreams and why playing small often drains you more than daring to reach higher. We will face the fear of failure head-on and learn how to turn it from a prison into a teacher. You'll see why clarity of vision matters so much and how to create a mental picture of your future that pulls you forward even on difficult days. We'll break down resilience, discipline, and the remarkable power of turning challenges into opportunities. You will discover how celebrating small wins keeps you energized on long journeys where the destination seems far away. This audiobook is not about pretending that life is easy or that success just happens if you think positive thoughts. It is about being honest. There will be obstacles, doubts, and setbacks. But it is also about realizing that you are far stronger, more capable, and more resourceful than you have been led to believe. Impossible often just means not yet figured out or not yet attempted with full commitment. As you listen and reflect, you will be invited to question the limits you have accepted about who you are and what you can do. You will be challenged to dream bigger, act bolder, and persist longer than you ever have before. If you are ready to stop treating impossible as a permanent label and start seeing it as a temporary description, then this journey is for you. Let's begin by understanding why the impossible is, in many cases, only a mindset. Why the impossible is only a mindset. What we call impossible is often less about physical or external limits and more about the invisible boundaries we carry inside our minds. When you say, "That's impossible for me," you are not describing a scientific law. You are revealing a belief. Beliefs are powerful because they quietly shape what you attempt, how hard you try, and how long you persist. If your inner story says, "I'm not smart enough, I always fail, it's already too late," then your actions will naturally become smaller, more cautious, and easier to derail. Over time, your results will seem to confirm your belief, and a loop is formed. Limiting beliefs create limited actions, which create limited results, which then strengthen the limiting beliefs.
Yet beliefs are not facts. They are conclusions you once drew based on experiences, opinions from others, or painful memories. The truth is that many of these beliefs were formed when you had less knowledge, fewer skills, or less power than you have today. Holding on to them unchallenged turns yesterday's limitations into today's prison. To break this cycle, you must recognize that impossible is usually a mental label attached to something unfamiliar, uncomfortable, or untried, not an absolute truth about what is possible for you. Think of a moment in your own life when you achieved something you once doubted. It might have been passing a tough exam, learning a new skill, getting a job you thought was out of your league, speaking in public, starting a business, or even healing from a difficult experience. Before you did it, your mind may have whispered, "I can't do this," or "This is too much for me." But then, through effort, learning, help, and persistence, you made progress. Slowly, what felt impossible became challenging, then manageable, then normal. You didn't change reality, you changed your mindset, and then your actions followed. That same power is still within you today, waiting to be used on bigger and bolder goals. The first key is a simple shift in language. Move from saying, "I can't," to asking, "How can I?" The instant you ask, "How can I?" your brain begins searching for options instead of excuses. You switch from a closed mindset to an open, problem-solving one. You stop treating your current situation as a fixed ceiling and start seeing it as a starting point. This doesn't mean ignoring real challenges. It means refusing to let challenges have the last word.
Your mindset is largely built from the stories you repeat to yourself. If your inner dialogue is filled with phrases like, "I'm not good enough," "This is beyond me," or "People like me don't succeed at this," then those phrases gradually become your reality, not because they were true to begin with, but because you lived as if they were. The empowering alternative is to challenge these thoughts whenever they appear. Instead of accepting them, ask, "Is this absolutely true?" And "What evidence do I have that I could grow, learn, or improve here?" Then intentionally replace limiting thoughts with more empowering ones. "I can learn this. I can improve with practice. Others have done this. I can find a way too." This isn't blind optimism. It is choosing a mindset that keeps you moving, experimenting, and growing instead of giving up before you even begin. Breakthroughs rarely come because someone had all the answers from the start. They come because someone refused to stop searching for answers. When you adopt the mindset that what seems impossible today is often just something not yet figured out, you become more creative, more persistent, and more resilient. The wall of impossible turns into a temporary barrier, not a final stop. Once you decide that this wall will not define you, it becomes a matter of time, effort, and strategy before you find a way around, over, or through it. The impossible lives first in your mind. Change your mindset, and the range of what becomes possible in your life expands dramatically. Unlocking the power of big dreams. Big dreams are not just pleasant fantasies you entertain when you are bored. They are powerful forces that can reshape the direction of your entire life. When you allow yourself to imagine a future that goes far beyond your current circumstances, you activate a deeper level of motivation and creativity within yourself. Big dreams push you to ask better questions. What could my life look like if I stopped holding back? And what would I pursue if I wasn't afraid of failing or being judged? These kinds of questions open doors in your mind that small, safe goals never touch. A big dream stretches your vision and challenges the small story you may have been living in. It forces you to step outside the boundaries of what you've always done and consider what you are truly capable of. Many people never discover their true potential simply because they never give themselves permission to dream on a larger scale. They quietly settle for what feels comfortable, acceptable, or guaranteed. But deep down, they carry a sense of restlessness, a feeling that they were meant for more.
That more often lives inside a dream they have been too afraid to fully face.
The common fear is that big dreams increase the risk of big disappointment. People worry that if they dream boldly and fail, they will feel crushed or embarrassed, so they choose smaller, safer goals they are almost certain they can reach. But what this safety actually does is shrink their life. Small dreams require small effort. They rarely demand growth, courage, or new skills. The irony is that while small goals feel safe at first, they can lead to a life that feels empty or stuck, because you know you are capable of more than you are allowing yourself to attempt. The size of your dream shapes the size of your effort. When you set a bold, inspiring dream, you naturally begin to rise to meet it. You seek out learning, you push through discomfort, and you make sacrifices that a smaller goal would never ask of you. Over time, you are transformed not just by what you achieve, but by who you become in the process. Big dreams also act as a powerful focusing tool. When your vision is clear and ambitious, it becomes a compass that guides your decisions. You start saying no to distractions that don't align with your dream, and yes to opportunities that move you closer. This clarity reduces confusion and helps you keep going even when the path is long or difficult. Another often overlooked power of big dreams is their ability to inspire others. When you openly pursue something bold, you give the people around you permission to consider their own dreams more seriously. Your courage becomes a mirror that reflects their hidden potential back to them. People are naturally drawn to those who live with purpose and ambition because it reminds them that more is possible. Your pursuit of a big dream can create a ripple effect. Your growth impacts your family, your community, and sometimes even complete strangers who are encouraged by your example. In this way, your dream is not just about you, it becomes a channel through which possibilities are revealed to others. Unlocking the power of big dreams does not mean ignoring reality. It means choosing a vision big enough to excite you and meaningful enough to sustain you when things get hard. It means accepting that the road will include failure, learning, and adjustment, but committing anyway because the dream is worth it. When you dare to dream big, you begin to build a life that reflects your deepest values and highest aspirations, not just your current limitations. You tap into a level of energy and drive that small, reasonable dreams can never provide. The impossible starts to look less like a wall and more like a challenge waiting to be met. Overcoming the fear of failure. Fear of failure is one of the most powerful forces that keep people from pursuing the life they truly want. This fear can be subtle, like constant hesitation and overthinking, or it can be intense, like paralysis whenever you consider taking a risk. At its core, fear of failure is rarely just about the event of failing itself. It is about what you believe failure means about you. You might fear being judged, rejected, laughed at, or seen as not good enough. You might fear confirming your worst doubts about yourself, or losing the approval of people you care about. Because of this, avoiding failure can start to feel safer than attempting anything meaningful. But this safety comes with a quiet cost: missed opportunities, unexplored talents, and a life that never fully reflects your potential. To overcome the fear of failure, you must first redefine what failure actually is. Failure is not a final identity, it is feedback. It is information about what didn't work, where you need more practice, or which strategy needs adjusting. The most successful people in any field, business, sports, art, science, have long histories of failed attempts behind their visible wins. The difference is not that they never failed. The difference is that they didn't let failure be the final chapter. One powerful shift is to see failure as proof that you are trying, stretching, and growing. If you are doing something new, challenging, or meaningful, some failure is not only possible, it is almost guaranteed.
Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" ask, "What if I never try?" The pain of regret is often far heavier and longer lasting than the temporary sting of a setback. Every time you attempt something and fall short, you have a chance to ask valuable questions. What exactly went wrong? What can I learn from this? What would I do differently next time? When you treat failure as a teacher instead of a judge, it loses its power to paralyze you. You start seeing each attempt as a step forward, even if the result isn't what you wanted. Another practical strategy is to start small. Break your big goals into steps so small that they feel less threatening. When you take a small risk, the fear of disaster decreases, and you give yourself room to build confidence. Each small success becomes evidence that you are capable of progress, which makes the next step easier. Over time, what once felt terrifying becomes manageable, simply because you have built up your inner strength through repeated action.
To truly weaken the fear of failure, you must also challenge black and white thinking, the idea that you either succeed perfectly or you are a complete failure. Real life is not that extreme. Most journeys toward meaningful goals are messy, full of trial and error, progress and setbacks. Seeing everything through an all-or-nothing lens makes you fragile because any mistake feels like total defeat. Instead, adopt a growth mindset. See your skills as developable and your journey as a series of experiments. Some experiments work, some don't, but all of them teach you something. Surrounding yourself with the right people also matters. When you connect with friends, mentors, or communities who share their own struggles and failures openly, you realize that you are not alone. Failure is universal. Even the people you admire most have their own stories of rejection, mistakes, and starting over. Hearing these stories can make your own fears less overwhelming. Finally, anchor yourself in your why. Ask yourself, why is this goal worth pursuing even if I fail along the way? What impact will it have on my life and on others if I succeed? When your purpose is strong and emotionally meaningful, it gives you the courage to move forward despite uncertainty. Failure then becomes a temporary discomfort in service of a bigger vision, not a reason to abandon your path. By embracing failure as a natural and necessary part of growth, you free yourself to act boldly instead of living safely but unfulfilled. The importance of vision and clarity. Vision is the ability to see in your mind a future that doesn't exist yet but could exist if you commit to creating it. It is more than a vague wish like "I want to be successful" or "I want to be happy." A powerful vision is specific, vivid, and emotionally meaningful. It paints a clear picture of where you want to go and who you want to become. Without such a vision, it is easy to drift through life reacting to circumstances instead of intentionally designing your path. You may wake up each day busy but directionless, working hard yet feeling stuck or unsatisfied because your actions are not connected to a bigger purpose. Vision solves this by acting like a compass. When you know where you want to go, your decisions gain context. You can ask, does this move me closer to my vision or further away? And answer more confidently. Clarity does not mean you know every detail of how you will get there, but it does mean you know why you are moving and what you are moving toward. That why is the emotional fuel behind your journey. It might be a desire to provide for your family, to live with freedom, to solve a problem you care about, to express your talents fully, or to contribute something meaningful to others. To build clarity, begin by asking yourself powerful questions. What kind of life do I want to be living 5 or 10 years from now? What kind of person do I want to become? What would a deeply fulfilling day look like for me? Instead of stopping at general answers, dig into specifics. If your vision involves starting a business, imagine the type of work you'll do, the people you'll serve, the impact you'll have, and how your typical day might feel.
If your dream is related to health, picture what your body will feel like, what activities you'll be able to enjoy, and how your energy will affect your relationships and work. The more detailed your internal picture, the stronger its pull on your behavior. A vague goal like, "I want more money," doesn't guide you much. A clear vision like, "I want to build a stable income that allows me to support my family, invest, and travel twice a year," gives you direction. Once you can see your desired future with clarity, you can reverse engineer it into concrete steps and milestones. This doesn't make the path easy, but it makes it visible, which is a huge advantage over wandering without a map. Vision is also a powerful antidote to doubt and distraction. When challenges arise, and they always do, it is your vision that reminds you why continuing is worth the effort. On days when progress feels slow or obstacles appear bigger than your resources, reconnecting with your vision can reignite your passion. You can close your eyes and mentally visit the future you are working toward, reminding yourself that the discomfort of today is part of building something you deeply care about. This sense of purpose gives you inner stability, even when the outer situation is uncertain. Additionally, clarity helps you protect your time and energy. Once you are clear on your priorities, it becomes easier to say no to requests, habits, and distractions that do not serve your path. You may choose to watch less mindless content, spend time with people who support your growth, or structure your days more intentionally. Far from making life rigid, this kind of focus actually creates more freedom from confusion, wasted effort, and regret. Finally, a strong vision doesn't just move you, it attracts others. People are naturally drawn to those who know what they want and are willing to work for it. Whether you are trying to build a team, seek investment, or simply invite support from friends and mentors, your clarity signals seriousness and leadership. When you can clearly articulate your vision and why it matters, you invite others to believe in it with you. In this way, vision and clarity become the foundation for achieving goals that once seemed beyond your reach, one intentional decision at a time.
Building unstoppable resilience. Resilience is the inner strength that allows you to keep moving forward even when life pushes you down. It is not the absence of difficulty, it is the capacity to face difficulty, adapt, and rise again. On any meaningful journey, whether you are chasing a dream, building a career, improving your health, or transforming your life, obstacles are guaranteed. Plans will fall apart, people may doubt you, mistakes will happen, and results might come slower than you hoped. Without resilience, these moments can easily convince you to quit. With resilience, they become part of your training. The first step in building resilience is to shift how you interpret challenges. If you see every setback as proof that you are not capable, then each difficulty will weaken you. But if you see challenges as opportunities to grow stronger, learn new skills, or refine your strategies, then each difficulty can actually add to your power. Ask yourself, what is this experience trying to teach me? And how can I use this to become better? These questions transform pain into information and frustration into fuel. Over time, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start seeing yourself as a creator who can respond, adjust, and improve no matter what happens. Belief in yourself is another core pillar of resilience. Doubts and fears will always arise, especially when you step into new territory. But self-belief is the decision to trust that you can figure things out. It is not blind arrogance, it is a quiet inner commitment. I may not know everything, but I can learn. I may not be perfect, but I can grow. You can strengthen this belief by remembering past moments when you successfully handled challenges. Maybe you survived a difficult season in life, learned a tough skill, or overcame a personal struggle.
These memories are evidence that you have already been resilient in many ways. Reflect on them intentionally and let them remind you of your strength. Flexibility is also a critical part of resilience. Life rarely follows our original plan. If you are too rigid, insisting that things must go exactly your way, you will break more easily when reality doesn't cooperate. Resilient people stay committed to their goals, but flexible in their methods. They are willing to try a different strategy, adjust timelines, or explore new solutions instead of giving up. This adaptability keeps them moving, even when the road changes unexpectedly. Emotional regulation matters too. Stress, anger, disappointment, and sadness are normal human reactions, but if they completely control your behavior, they can derail your progress. Tools like deep breathing, mindfulness, journaling, prayer, or talking to someone you trust can help you process emotions in a healthy way. The goal is not to suppress how you feel, but to understand your feelings and then choose your response instead of reacting automatically. Resilience is also strengthened by the people around you. A strong support system, friends, family, mentors, or like-minded peers can make a huge difference when you are facing hard times. These are the people who listen, encourage, challenge your negative thinking, and remind you of your potential when you temporarily forget it. Don't be afraid to lean on others or ask for help. Resilience is not about doing everything alone. At the same time, be intentional about who you surround yourself with. People who constantly complain, criticize, or discourage you can drain your strength, while those who believe in you and your vision can help you keep going. Consistency is another key ingredient. Resilient people do not only show up when it is easy or exciting, they show up regularly, even when progress is slow or the results are invisible. They understand that small, steady actions eventually lead to big change. Each day you keep moving, even just a little, you are training your resilience. Finally, remember that a strong sense of purpose fuels unstoppable resilience. When your why is meaningful enough, you can endure discomfort, setbacks, and uncertainty because you know what you are fighting for. Write your purpose down, visualize it, talk about it with people who inspire you, and return to it whenever you feel like giving up. Little by little, you become the kind of person who does not stay down for long. You fall, you learn, you rise, and you move forward, stronger than before. Challenges into opportunities. Challenges are not optional in life, but how you respond to them is. Two people can face the same difficulty and come out with completely different outcomes. One feels defeated, while the other emerges wiser, stronger, and closer to success. The difference often lies in perspective. When a challenge appears, your mind may label it as a threat, something to avoid or escape from. This reaction is natural, but it is not the only option. You can also choose to see each challenge as a test of your creativity, your patience, and your determination. This doesn't magically make the situation easy, but it gives you a more powerful angle to approach it from. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you can ask, "What is this trying to show me?" Or, "How can this situation be used for my growth?" Such questions shift you from a passive victim mindset to an active problem-solver mindset. The moment you take that mental step, you begin to reclaim power over your circumstances.
Challenges often push you outside your comfort zone and force you to think in new ways. Maybe a job loss compels you to explore a career you were secretly interested in but never dared to pursue. Maybe a failed project shows you where your skills are weak and motivates you to learn something that later becomes your advantage. Maybe a conflict in a relationship reveals unhealed patterns and leads to deeper self-awareness and better communication skills. While you rarely enjoy challenges in the moment, they can become some of your greatest teachers over time. One practical way to handle a big challenge is to break it into smaller parts. When you stare at a huge problem all at once, it can feel overwhelming and paralyzing. But if you divide it into smaller, manageable tasks and focus on one step at a time, you begin to make progress. Each small action makes the situation feel more controllable and builds your confidence. I can do this part, then I'll handle the next one. This approach turns what seemed like an impossible wall into a staircase you can climb. Resilience plays a major role here as well. When a setback happens, you will likely feel disappointment or frustration. That is normal. But resilience helps you recover and return to the challenge with new energy. Reminding yourself of previous challenges you've overcome can be a powerful way to keep going. You've survived hard situations before, and that history proves that you can navigate this new one as well. Another hidden benefit of challenges is that they can reveal opportunities that were not visible before. A closed door might push you to knock on another one that leads to something far better. For example, getting rejected for a certain opportunity might free your time and energy for a different project that aligns more closely with your true passion or values. Sometimes what feels like a loss in the short term becomes a turning point in the long term. Adopting a longer perspective helps. Instead of judging a challenge only by how it feels right now, ask, how might this look in a year or 5 years? Many people, when they reflect on their greatest achievements, realize that those moments were born out of their toughest challenges, times when they had to dig deep, reconsider everything, and grow in ways they would not have chosen voluntarily. Collaboration is also a powerful way to turn challenges into opportunities. When you face something difficult, involving others, a teammate, mentor, friend, or community can bring fresh ideas and emotional support. Brainstorming with others often leads to creative solutions you would never have discovered alone. Finally, remember that your response to challenges doesn't just shape your own life, it can inspire others. When people see you face difficulties with courage, honesty, and a determination to learn, they feel more capable of doing the same. Your story of turning setbacks into stepping stones becomes a source of hope. Challenges, then, become more than obstacles. They become part of your legacy of growth and contribution. Developing discipline for long-term success. Discipline is the quiet engine behind long-term success. Talent, passion, and opportunity are valuable, but without discipline, they often fade into wasted potential. Discipline is your ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It is the bridge between goals and results. While motivation is emotional and can rise or fall depending on your mood or circumstances, discipline is a choice you make repeatedly until it becomes a habit. It starts with understanding your why. When you are clear about why your goal matters deeply to you, what it will change in your life, how it will affect your future, who else it will benefit, you have a powerful reason to stay committed. This why becomes your anchor on days when you feel tired, distracted, or discouraged. Whenever you are tempted to quit, you can mentally return to that reason and remind yourself, this is bigger than my mood today. But discipline doesn't grow from grand declarations alone. It grows from small, consistent actions. Many people fail to build discipline because they attempt drastic changes all at once. They try to completely overhaul their routine, diet, work, or habits overnight, and when they inevitably slip, they feel defeated and give up. A more effective approach is to start small and be specific. Choose one habit that supports your goal, maybe reading for 15 minutes a day, exercising for 20 minutes, practicing a skill, or working on a project at a set time. Commit to doing it daily or on a clear schedule. The point is not how big each action is, the point is consistency. When you keep a promise to yourself repeatedly, even in small ways, you build self-trust and inner strength.
Over time, the habit becomes part of your identity. This is just what I do. Discipline often requires delaying immediate pleasure in favor of long-term benefits. Saying no to distractions like scrolling endlessly on your phone, binge-watching shows, or procrastinating frees up energy and time for what truly matters. Each time you choose your future over your impulses, you strengthen your self-control. This is not about never resting or having fun. It is about being intentional instead of controlled by whatever feels good in the moment. Accountability can greatly support discipline. When you share your goals with someone you trust, a friend, mentor, family member, or even an online community, you add an extra layer of commitment. Knowing that someone will ask about your progress makes it harder to silently abandon your plans. You can create regular check-ins, join a group with similar goals, or find an accountability partner who is also working on their own discipline. Self-awareness is another essential piece. Pay attention to the situations, thoughts, or emotions that usually lead you to break your commitments. Do you procrastinate when you feel anxious, bored, or overwhelmed? Do certain environments or times of day trigger distraction? Once you identify these patterns, you can design strategies to handle them. Working during your most focused hours, keeping your phone in another room while working, using website blockers, or preparing your tasks in advance so you know exactly what to do when it's time. Structuring your environment, keeping your workspace organized, reducing clutter, and clearly separating work and rest areas also makes discipline easier. It's much simpler to follow through when your surroundings support your goals rather than constantly tempting you away from them. It's important to understand that discipline does not mean perfection. You will have days when you slip, miss a habit, or make a poor choice. The key is how quickly you recover. Instead of saying, "I failed, I might as well give up," say, "I slipped, now I get back on track." Treat each setback as feedback. What led to this? How can I adjust my plan? This mindset keeps you moving and prevents one bad day from becoming a bad month. Discipline is also connected to self-compassion. Be firm but kind with yourself. Demanding effort is good. Attacking yourself is not. Focusing on the process rather than obsessing over the outcome is one of the best ways to sustain discipline. Commit to showing up each day and doing the work, even if the visible results are small for now. Celebrate your consistency and small wins. They are signs that your discipline is growing. Over time, disciplined action becomes a source of freedom. Instead of being ruled by mood, distraction, or circumstances, you gain control over your choices and direction. You realize that you can trust yourself to follow through. This self-trust is one of the greatest gifts of discipline and a crucial foundation for any big dream you want to achieve.
Celebrating small wins on the path to greatness. When you are chasing a big dream or working toward a long-term goal, the finish line can feel far away. If you only allow yourself to feel proud or satisfied when you reach the very end, the journey can become exhausting and discouraging. This is where the practice of celebrating small wins becomes incredibly powerful. Small wins are those everyday steps forward that might seem minor on their own. A day of focused work, sticking to your routine, learning a new concept, making a difficult phone call, choosing a healthy habit, or finishing a small part of a big project. Each of these actions is a brick in the foundation of your future success. When you consciously acknowledge them, you feed your motivation and reinforce the belief that you are capable of progress. Instead of constantly thinking, "I'm still so far from my goal," you remind yourself, "I am moving in the right direction." This shift in focus creates a sense of momentum rather than frustration. Celebrating small wins also keeps you present. When you are fixated only on the destination, you can miss the growth and experiences happening right now.
Taking a moment to say, "Today I did something that moved me forward," helps you appreciate the journey itself. It also reduces the heavy pressure of perfection. You no longer need each day to be dramatic or impressive. You just need it to be honest effort. From a psychological perspective, recognizing small wins activates the reward center in your brain, releasing chemicals like dopamine that create feelings of satisfaction and motivation. Your brain then begins to associate effort and progress with positive emotions, making you more likely to keep going. This becomes a positive feedback loop. You take action, you notice and celebrate the action, you feel good, and you are more willing to take the next action. Over time, this loop can carry you through the long, boring, or difficult stretches that every important goal includes. Small wins are like refueling stops on a long journey. Without them, you can easily run out of energy and quit too soon.
Celebration doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. It could be as simple as pausing for a moment to say, "I did well today," writing your progress in a journal, giving yourself a short break to enjoy something you like, or sharing your achievement with a supportive friend or family member. The form of celebration matters less than the intention to recognize that what you did counts. Regularly reviewing your small wins, weekly or monthly, can also be powerful. When you look back and see a list of actions you've taken and milestones you've reached, you realize how far you have actually come, even if the final goal is still ahead. This perspective can reduce feelings of overwhelm and replace them with gratitude and confidence. Additionally, celebrating small wins helps protect your mental health. Big goals can create stress, especially if you constantly measure yourself against an ideal that you haven't reached yet. By honoring each step, you shift from a mindset of never enough to one of appreciation and growth. You begin to see yourself not as someone who is failing to be perfect, but as someone who is steadily becoming better. Sharing your small wins with others also strengthens your relationships and creates a culture of support and encouragement. When you talk openly about your progress, no matter how modest it seems, you invite others to celebrate with you. In turn, you can celebrate their wins too. This mutual support reminds everyone that success is built one step at a time, not in one dramatic leap. Your willingness to acknowledge and appreciate small wins can inspire others to treat their own progress with more kindness and respect. Finally, small wins prepare you for the bigger victories ahead. Each time you follow through, learn, or overcome a tiny challenge, you are rehearsing for handling greater responsibility, greater success, and greater impact. You are training your mind and emotions to handle effort, pressure, and growth. By the time you reach your major goals, you are not only achieving something external, you have become a person who has earned it through thousands of small, intentional steps, each one recognized and valued.
Conclusion. Your dreams are waiting. All throughout this journey, one message has been quietly repeating. The limits you see are often not fixed walls, but flexible lines drawn by fear, doubt, and habit. Impossible is usually just a word we use when we haven't yet discovered a way, gathered enough courage, or taken enough consistent action. You have seen how mindset shapes what you believe is possible, how big dreams can unlock your hidden potential, and how the fear of failure can be transformed into a teacher instead of a jailer. You've explored how clarity of vision guides your choices, how resilience keeps you standing when life knocks you down, how challenges can become opportunities for growth, how discipline turns intention into reality, and how celebrating small wins keeps your spirit strong on a long path. None of these ideas are magic tricks. They do not remove all difficulty from life, but together they form a powerful approach to living, a way of seeing yourself not as a passive observer, but as an active creator of your future. Your dreams, whatever they are are not random. They are signals of possibility, hints about what you could become and how you could contribute. You may not control every event in your life, but you have immense influence over how you respond, where you focus, and what you decide to build. The question is not whether you are allowed to pursue your dreams. The real question is whether you will give yourself permission to start. There will always be reasons to wait. Not enough time, not enough money, not enough knowledge, not enough confidence. But waiting for the perfect moment often becomes a lifelong delay. Progress begins when you take the first imperfect step with the mindset, I will learn as I go. Your journey will include mistakes, changes of direction, and days when you feel unsure. That is normal. Growth is not a straight line. What matters is that you keep moving, keep adjusting, and keep coming back to your purpose. Each time you act in alignment with your dream, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you thought.
As you move forward, remember that greatness is not reserved for a special few. It is built by ordinary people who decide to think differently, dream boldly, and act consistently. You do not have to transform your life overnight. Start where you are, with what you have, and do what you can today. Choose one belief to challenge, one habit to build, one fear to face, one small win to pursue. Let those small choices compound over weeks, months, and years. One day you will look back and realize that what once seemed impossible has become your new normal. Your story can become an example for others, a living reminder that limits can be broken, that courage matters, and that the human spirit is far more powerful than we usually admit. Your dreams are not just distant fantasies, they are waiting for you to claim them through thought, decision, and action. Don't settle for average when your heart is calling you toward more. Stand up for your own potential. Question the word impossible whenever it appears. Stay bold, stay focused, and keep pushing beyond the barriers in front of you. The next chapter of your life hasn't been written yet, and you are the one holding the pen.